All right, hi everyone. This is Matt Kramer, digital editor with allthingsinsights.com, and we are here on the third and final day of TMRE 2025, the market research event. We have the pleasure of being with Michael Nevski, Director of Global Insights at Visa. Thanks, Michael, for coming on, as always, to talk about insights with us.
Thank you, Matt. It's so great be here and to see you again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Um, well, you had a session already at the show, and it was all about the gig economy. So I think this would be a great one for our audience because this is something that is trending or in the news a little bit in this current economic environment. And we're all in the market research world trying to understand the consumer. So just tell us a little bit about the gig economy and your session.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking me. It's a fairly nascent trend, but actually it's continued to grow. It's about every sixth American who is getting involved in the gig economy. And it's very interesting that primarily motivation for those who get involved in the gig, it's more about freedom, it's more about flexibility and following their passion than a monetary reward. And what we observe that actually in United States, gig economy is driven by Gen Z millennials, younger people who get involved into the gig economy, and also affluent consumers. Surprise, surprise, they also get involved by doing some kind of a side gig, whether they semi-retired or maybe having a job, but they're actually doing it for a monetary reward because they want to save extra money to do something extra like travel, see new places, maybe buying some goods or products they're passionate about. So, and also interesting aspect that more people getting involved into the gig economy. We're projecting that from 14% is going to grow up to 25-30% in the future. So it's important for us as brands and insights professionals to really understand that demographic cohort, that segment overall, those who get involved in the gig economy and their needs, not only in terms of products and services, but their lifestyles, what they're requiring, what their motivations. So it's a very interesting topic to watch in spite of all the technology and all the buzz we're going through, but the consumers, humans staying humans, and we see new trends within the society.
Well, that's a great overview of the gig economy. And just a quick question: is it geared towards any particular demographic? Do you see that in your studies at all? Boomers or Generation Z, or who was the prime gig economy person?
Yeah, absolutely. So primarily it's driven by Gen Z and millennials, and with some share of boomers getting involved. Xers are not so much. If we're comparing overall share of the population in United States versus generations, those who involved, like I said, primarily highly over-indexed among Gen Zers and millennials. And then you start looking at full-time, part-time income versus gender. So another interesting fact, demographic fact, that overall U.S. population, male consumers leading in many aspects of that overall population percentage, and in terms of those who get involved in the gig. But when it comes to side hustle, 3 out of 5 hustlers are female consumers. So those who actually working full time, running families, raising kids, but because they still feel that compelled reason to get involved because of the passion, because maybe some flexibility gives them. Maybe they're doing something on a weekend, teaching how to play piano or cello or doing something. And another very interesting aspect is that demographic that they actually don't utilize platforms, digital platforms to find gig involvement or business, because there is this bias that gig workers utilize Uber, Lyft, driving those of Fiverr or TaskRabbit, but actually 60% of them stated in a latest study that they do it direct. Either they have their own website or finding referrals, walking a dog, again, teaching piano lessons, and only 23% get involved with digital platforms, with 14 other percent are actually saying that they get involved by doing independent contracting work, not as an employee and not registered a business, but pretty much doing the 1099, one employer at a time, let's say 6 months involvement. And again, they value that flexibility. And I have a friend like that who is a IT architect, and for the last 20 years, he's been working for so many very well-known brands. But he likes the project-based work where he works 6 months to a year on a project, and then he moves on and goes to another company because it gives him that flexibility, not to have the same manager also working on his own terms, but delivering the project, so accomplishing what he needs. And also, those people like that pays better because it's a gross, not a net. So again, we need to keep those aspects in mind as we create products and services specifically tailored to gig workers.
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff, and just, going from the gig economy to, here we are getting into the 4th quarter. I mean, tell me, what is your thoughts on sort of the economic outlook for consumers in the next year? What do you think is trending or happening? I mean, gig economy is one. There's always uncertainty, of course, but, what is your sort of, economic outlook?
Sure. That's a great question. Although my purview is consumer insights, consumer trends, while I would probably leave it to my colleagues to comment on the economy itself. But in terms of the consumers and consumer intent, I think what I observe in a consumer survey data and some other primary research, that affluent consumers, I still continue to spend. So what it tells us that they're still confident about their future. To give you an example, when non-affluent consumers, and let's define affluent consumer, those who actually have 150,000 in household income on an annual basis, and those who fall below that, we call non-affluent consumers. So when non-affluent consumers pull back in their spending by 5%, it takes only 2% for affluent consumers to increase their spending to offset the drop in spending by non-affluent consumers. So just a fact to keep in mind. And what I observe in my research, that actually affluent consumers still feel confident about their future, still planning on spending during the holidays, still planning on traveling, and propelling the economy forward. Same time, I think this uncertainty, tariff situation, geopolitical situation, current administration policies still create lots of uncertainty, which actually puts the overall consumer in U.S. In a state of uncertainty and limbo. And when we don't know, because we can deal with high prices, inflation, even unemployment, but when we don't know what's going to happen next, it freezes us. And we're kind of hunkering down because then, oh, maybe I shouldn't be spending this extra dollars on a trip to Mexico. Or maybe I shouldn't be considering buying a new car or used car because I don't know what's going to happen. So in that uncertainty influencing the economy. So that's why you see some of the consumer mindset reports that actually people kind of lukewarm right now about the economy, what's going to happen. Plus, we have this kind of a split mentality, right, in terms of the what political spectrum you're on, and people on one side feeling much more confident versus those who are on the opposite side of the political spectrum. Those aspects influence consumer decisions to spend.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, so key to understand the consumer going into this quarter and next year. Um, Getting down to TMRE, here we are the last day. Um, any takeaways from the show that you have so far, whether it's the wide broad view or a specific session, or is there something that has struck you as being impactful?
Absolutely. Number one, and from my conversations and going to many sessions, that the conversation is pivoting. Not, if you remember last year and year prior, oh my God, and generative AI is coming, what's going to happen to our jobs? Now it's much more practical conversation. We see the usefulness of this technology and how it can help us to be more efficient. And many insights practitioners saying, okay, let's take that and see what's the practical use case. We can apply the technology by becoming more efficient and completing more projects because it requires us to do more with less. So, but same time, we're not talking about our jobs is in jeopardy, right? So we see that generative AI is becoming better and better. And now we're already talking about automating some tasks, which would take us days to complete. And now it helps us to be more strategic, be more internal consultants to our organizations, to influence the bottom line, to influence those crucial conversations at the executive table. Another aspect of what I see that I really enjoyed some conversations about how to navigate this economy and changing requirements by CMOs and brands in terms of how you run your inside division, like a Cirque du Soleil. If you remember last night, keynote speech, so it was wonderful because you're really looking at a customer-centric approach, right, and client experience approach, and where insights come in and create that memorable experience for consumers. And I think those very practical applications and strategies were very actionable to me. This TMRE. So, and that's where I see we're pivoting. Definitely, technology is here to stay. Technology is going to get better, but how we going to change and transform instead of conversation last 2 years, how we can adapt now, how we can actually, after we tame this wild horse, now how we can actually ride it to our advantage, to our brand's advantage, to our consumer advantage, how we can stay focused on being consumer centric.
Oh, excellent. From the fear factor to now how to
Excitement.
ride the horse,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes.
Michael, thanks so much for coming on and talking to us today about TMRE, the economy, the consumer, and going forward into 2026.
Thank you, Matt. It was
Thank
a
you.
true pleasure speaking with you today. Thank
Thank
you.
you.